to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester podcast. We are a community built on love, hope, and justice. Our goal is to inspire people to take on the challenges of a changing world. Each week we'll bring you a reflection from our minister, the Reverend Aaron Payson, recorded during our Sunday service. Maybe it'll move you, challenge your thinking, or even stir up a little righteous indignation. That's all welcome here. Thanks for listening.
I want to thank Dee Hudson for my hat this morning. I added to the collection my pink hat in my office, David Miller's old cowboy hat. I have collected a number of hats over the years. This one is particularly meaningful during this time in our country. My daughter texted me that the issue that she had with the second half of Wicked, though she liked the music, was that it was too drawn out. It was too long, and it didn't have a lot going on, according to her, meaning that it plodded through the plot. And though I agree it was long, I also suspect such a reaction suggests that the movie might have been more social commentary than entertainment. How many of you have seen the second half of Wicked? How many of you have not yet seen it but intend to? Okay, close your ears. Given the state of the world, as we sit here, another war in the making in the Middle East, another nation in deep unrest, because of the preemptive impulse of countries hell-bent on manipulating the world to their own purposes, I want to say openly, I am not a fan of the Iranian regime. I mourn the loss of civilian lives who protested in the wake of calls for reform. I also know that history does not shine well on attempts to create peace through waging war in parts of the world that have historically tended toward authoritarianism, be it political, religious, or both. What might we learn about the current state of things given our context this morning? First, I want to say that the best way to combat the rise in authoritarianism in this country is to double down on our support for organizations that reflect our values and ideals, which makes this current stewardship campaign as much an act of resistance as responsibility. We need communities like this one that reflect our best selves into the world. We need communities like this that prioritize the needs of those who suffer over the needs of the powerful. We need communities that teach their members and those who attend to honor differences, to cherish our histories, to demand justice in the face of unjust laws and unjust actions. We need communities that reflect a theology of spiritual abundance in the face of those that continue to tear at the fabric of our common garment of destiny. We need those around us who will hold us when we grieve and celebrate with us when we achieve a measure of growth or success. We need places where our children are taught to value themselves and each other as gifts, not burdens, as beings worthy of respect, not cracked vessels in need of spiritual repair or saving. All of this is why continuing to support this congregation is vital. And for this, I give you my profound thanks. Second, the narrative of Wicked, especially as it culminates in the second movie, ought to reinforce in each of us a healthy skepticism of totalizing narratives like, they only understand force, or this is the only language they speak. Furthermore, such narratives point to the need to attend to civilians first and not as an afterthought of warfare, as well as the need for there to be a healthy amount of humility for those who engage in violence as to what it can actually solve, especially in those parts of the world that have already been heavily traumatized. If anything, the movie dramatizes that those deemed good are capable of tremendous harm, and those deemed wicked may very well be acting out of conscience. All the while suggesting that the state-sponsored narrative is never the whole story. I worry that those who sit comfortably in our homes watching the news will once again turn the images of real suffering into background noise, as we capitulate to the tendency to quietly trade away someone else's safety for our own sense of security and righteousness as a nation. I'm concerned that the language we use about war becomes a way to turn away from the human cost of such actions. In the movie and the novel upon which it's based, animals are stripped of the rights of voice while the state insists it's necessary for order. Their suffering is framed as a technical problem, not a moral one. Acting to control bodies here is an extension of the logic of controlling infrastructures. The death of Nessarose in the movie sits at the confluence of accident, politics, and spin. Because the event is real and devastating and is immediately contested and weaponized. I see a similar pattern in the framing of those who died in a girls' school yesterday, in a neighborhood surrounding a Target, in an overwhelmed hospital as collateral damage and as regrettable. And I wonder, who gets to turn someone else's catastrophe into a talking point? And those whose grief is allowed to be politically useful while in others is minimized as unfortunate, but necessary. Finally, I'm reminded of Elphaba and how she becomes the wicked witch, not because people know her, but because they know a story about her. Posters and speeches and gossip do work here. I would ask if we know Iran similarly. Iran is often spoken of as a monolithic actor, even though we know it contains factions, military and security apparatus, and millions of civilians that have no say in strategic decisions. Kind of reminds me of the United States right now. And given the current state of force used in American cities, I wonder how quickly a warring region turns the opposition of government into the dehumanization of people. And at what point does deterrence become a story that justifies almost any level of harm? See, for me, Wicked isn't just a movie or a novel or a fictional narrative. Like all good literature and entertainment to some extent, at some level it also serves as a mirror for self-reflection, contemplation, and inspiration. A house falls, and someone calls it justice. A child cries, and somebody calls it noise. The sky is full of reasons. The ground is full of bodies. And the story keeps choosing its villains. Somewhere, an olive-skinned girl is trying to tell the truth over the roar of the wind, but the wind is busy carrying another banner, another order, another name for necessary. Still, she stands in the wreckage, hands open, asking only one question the story fears. Who taught you to call this safety? Amen. And blessed be.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're just crossing our path, either new to this congregation or curious about Unitarian Universalism, check out our website, uucworcester.org. You'll find lots of information there about our beliefs, the 8 guiding principles, religious exploration for children and adults, our social action initiatives, and the many groups we offer to help people connect and have fun. And consider joining us, in person or online, on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. We'd love to meet you.